Happening. Okay, I think we're live now.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone. Coffee and Politics in Greenville. It's Friday, the 23rd of May. We're here at the headquarters. I have the pleasure to lead today again as Jeff is at home recovering from his another chemo treatment. He's feeling great. We got him some fluids at the hospital yesterday, so that helps him with the recovery. But he's still resting today and probably watching, so he will be um, giving us feedback and everything we're doing, what we're supposed to or not supposed to be doing. um, we are here today. We don't have anything specific to talk about, so if anyone would like to come and join me here and talk about anything you want or discuss, and I'll probably have some of our committee chairs to give us some reports today. What I would like to do, take opportunity to go over our upcoming meeting agenda. If you are probably aware, you got email or look at our calendar, our first business meeting of this term is going to be on Monday, June 2nd. That is where our rules, we have to elect the remaining officers to the party. If you attended the county party convention in April, we elected the chairman, vice chairman, and our state executive committeeman. And by the rules, now in June, we're electing remaining officers. That is second, third, fourth, fifth vice chair. And we have 4 standing committees. And by the rules, we have to elect 2 people per each of those standing committees. As you know, we have many other committees that are committees created by us, our volunteers, but those committees are not required to have the members elected. The standing committees are. So I don't know. I don't see anyone here that I know is running.
I'm running for a standing committee
You are? Okay.
for the reorgan.
Perfect. We will go over. I'm going to go over these committees, and then if someone is here that's running for anything, again, the mic is always open. But today, especially because we have time and availability for people to talk whatever you like to talk about. So I may invite some people if they're here to introduce themselves if they would like to run for something. So our second vice chair, if you don't know or you're interested, is a combination of technology and communications. So it varies whenever we get interested in kind of running and helping. And when we first took over, it was more technology. The person that was elected or in the position that I know of prior when we took over, they were in charge of website, things like that. When we took over, the first 2 second vice chairmen that we elected, they were also in charge of, again, the technology, like sound system of the meetings, website, anything technology related that we can get help with. Our last second vice chair, Lenore, she was more focused on the communication part. Again, both areas are needed, and I think this time around, I'm not certain. We don't have a solid confirmation on who is running. We have 2 people deciding, but again, that is a person who will be assisting with anything technology related. Then there's the third vice chair that is in charge of reorg and membership. That is the person who is in charge of keeping all our data, everyone that comes to headquarters, that becomes members, and also all the data that we came up with collected through reorganization process. So there's a big list that is called P1 list. It's a list of every single person per precinct that participated in reorg makeup convention. It's basically the big list of all Greenville Republican Party membership. It's a fun job for some if you like dealing with data. It's also a job with a responsibility of taking care of the reorg process every 2 years, right? So the person in charge will be kind of leading with team's help the reorg effort comes March 2027, right? We have to, like we did this time, book all these locations for precinct meetings, make sure people are trained for how to run reorg, things like that. So that is the third vice chair in charge of reorg. And we are so excited that our Nikki Peters, who usually organizes and is basically in charge of running headquarters, puts schedules for us and manage our office staff volunteers. And she has actually created a big data center for everyone that came through headquarters. So we could just not imagine anyone better to fit the position, because other than running reorg, she pretty much has been in charge of keeping track of our data, and she kindly agreed to run for the position. I'm not aware that anyone else is running, but I think Nikki, this is the third vice chair, and we are absolutely delighted that she is willing to serve in that role. Now, then there's the fourth vice chair, which is youth and outreach. We love young people participating. We, love seeing young faces. And Griffin Callahan has served in that role for the last 4 years, and we love Griffin. He joined us at the very beginning and has been with us since. Griffin is ready to focus more on his career and job. He did say that if we absolutely need him, he was still going to run, but if we were able to find someone that could take the lead and run for the position, he would mentor and assist, but he would rather with his work schedule. He's a young man that just graduated a few years ago and is focusing on establishing his career. So luckily, one of our youngest ECs, who is also related to Nikki Peters, her son Dylan Peters, who just graduated from Wofford College this past Sunday, I believe, and came back to Greenville. He kindly agreed to be our youth representative, which is so exciting because Dylan is, I think, 22 years old, but so smart and mature, and we could not be more excited about having him run for the youth position. I think he's the perfect fit. So that is the fourth vice chair. And then there we have fifth vice chair. If you know Terry Wicker, she usually sits here next to me, but she's on the beach this weekend. I don't know whether she's watching or not, but Terry is running for the re-election of fifth vice chair, which is in charge of events. And if you know Terry and all the events we have had, she is absolutely amazing in organizing any event there is that we can participate in. She's excellent at making calls to find venues and just anything. And we couldn't be more excited that Terry will continue in that position. She's running again, not sure if there's anyone else running, but Terry is going to run for re-election. Then we have secretary. Angie Fisher has been serving as the secretary. I know she is running for re-election, and I know that Scott Gear has stepped up and decided to run as well. So sounds like we will have a contested race then there for the secretary between Scott and Angie. We will be sending out more information about each candidate once we get it, so people can learn about each of them. Then we have the treasurer. Treasurer is, of course, in charge of money. Mary has been serving as our treasurer. Mary is, again, in charge of the Greenville GOP bank account. She's in charge of all the financial transactions. She's the one writing checks for anything, any expenses that GCRP have, and she's the one issuing financial reports. When you go to the website, we are, I think, I'm not sure, maybe the only county party that publish not only our financial reports, we publish our bank statements. So when you talk about transparency, I don't think there's anyone more transparent within county parties than Greenville GOP. As you can go to our website and you can click, and each month there is a link to PDF file that includes, again, not only the financial report that Mary issues, she also attaches copies of the bank statement. So you can tell how everything matches, where the money is, how much we have, and all of that. And Mary is doing an excellent job with that. And again, we're very excited that she is running for re-election. She'll tell you she was told to do it, but regardless, we're just excited that she's running. So this is the officers. These are the officers that we'll be electing at the Monday meeting. Then we go to the standing committees. 4 standing committees that we are going to be electing representatives for. The committees have 4 voting members.
Can we move the camera over so people can see it?
Can see me, so like I can move over because the camera is
In
angled.
there's a computer, we see the computer and not you and the camera.
She's on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're fine. You can just imagine you see me.
We put it on the big TV.
You could, I guess.
No, you're
Maybe.
fine.
Oh, and then we're gonna do. We can try it.
No, it's okay.
So where were we?
Standing committee.
Standing committees. So we have 4 committees that we have to elect. Every standing committee has 5 voting members. 2 people we elect at the body, EC body elect 2 people at the upcoming meeting. Then the chairman appoints 1 person. Then those 3 members pick person number 4, whomever they want to add to the committee, and then the chairman himself or himself at this in this case is the 5th member. And these are the 5 members of that committee. Now we can add any other members to the committee. Those committees, there's no limitation how many members can join. So as I'm going through, if you're interested in any of these committees, you can absolutely join. But there will be only 5 members that will have a vote. And there, I don't know how often votes happen in these committees, whether it's that important. But know that all the members that are running either for re-election, they always look for more people. The more the merrier, the feedback, that ideas that are needed to make these committees successful. So don't hesitate, even if you don't want to run for it, because if you run, you will have to stand in the crowd and introduce yourself. If that's intimidating, you can join these committees. Just let us know, and we will make you, or however the process works, the chairman you'll be able to join the committee, whatever committee you would like to join. So one of the standing committees is the Rules Committee. And I think I can hear Greg in the other room. If he comes back, I'll make him talk. He has been on the Rules Committee for a few years now. I don't remember how many. And I believe that he's running for re-election. There is Mr. Sheen, Ray Sheen. He was our convention president. If you were at the convention, the person that was with the gavel and leading our convention. That is Ray Sheen. He has been serving as our parliamentarian, and he has been part of the Rules Committee, and both of them, Greg is serving as a parliamentarian as well. We have both of them. Both of them are running for re-election. I know there's at least one person that is going to run as well. We're very excited to have a new person joining the team. He is an attorney and EC in one of our downtown precincts, which is very exciting to have a new person, younger person, and just someone who will be able to just add something new to the committee. We have the precinct reorg and membership standing committee. That is one committee that by rule, the third vice chair, who is in charge of reorg and membership, automatically becomes the chairman of the reorg committee. It kind of makes sense. So Nikki will be the chairman or chairwoman of that committee if she gets elected as a third vice chair. I assume she will, but again, there will be election. And then there will be another people that will be electing and adding. Tommy just said he will be running for the committee, and then I know there were a few others that are already interested in helping Nikki, or they have been helping. Then we have finance committee, and finance, even though some would think it has something to do with treasurer, finance committee focuses more on fundraising, finance of kind of bringing money to the party. So finance committee works closely with actually events committee, because events committee would be organizing events and fundraisers, how we can events that may help us bring money to the party, and finance committee will be kind of in charge of somewhat making that happen, finding sponsors, finding opportunities to raise money for the party. Obviously, the treasurer will be working with the committee closely as well, because it is money related. But that is what finance committee will be focusing on. We have someone that I hope will accept our. We approached someone asking to run for that committee. I'm not going to mention name yet because we haven't gotten an okay. Hopefully we'll get it this weekend. That person helped us tremendously with fundraising for the gala, so we were able to raise a good amount of money through sponsors, and I would love to, that person to join the committee, run for it, and anyone else who have ideas of fundraising, or again, you don't have to be part of the committee and that you have to deliver. But any ideas you have, if you've done fundraisers in the past, any ideas, any feedback, you're always welcome. Let us know, and we would love for you to join the team. And the last standing committee is candidate recruitment committee. It's candidate recruitment and liaison. This is all about candidates, and it's, again, last but not least, actually that's probably most important. As you know, we're all about candidates, and as you have probably watched what happened at the State House, whether it's South Carolina State House, nationally, if we don't have good politicians in place, if we don't have good candidates challenging politicians, there is no purpose to pretty much anything else, because we can be working hard for good legislation, but if we don't have good people in office, it's a moot point. So candidate recruitment, it's a very important committee, and what that entitles is basically finding people that may be interested in running. If they are interested in running, interviewing them. We will have some type of a survey for each candidate, asking questions to try to figure out whether they align with us or with the Republican platform or not. Then we work with candidates. We offer assistant help and the recruitment committee after they go through the process of recruiting, interviewing. they make a recommendation to the party for the party perhaps support that candidate, maybe endorse, depending. There's, there are the primaries that we can, or there's different ideas of whether we can endorse some candidates, things like that. But recruitment committee is all about the candidates. So that's going to be fun, especially 2026. It's going to be a big year for all the races, governor, attorney general, the statewide races, the House races. It's going to be crazy, and I already we're seeing things happening, weird things happening, and it will be all about who can either minimize Greenville because we have the highest number of votes in the state, and some of the candidates, for example, in the governor race that are already talking about running, we know they have never supported Greenville County Republican Party, and probably because they don't necessarily align with what we believe they should align with, like Republican platform and things like that. And it will be hard for them to run without having support from the biggest county in the state. But again, it's up to the candidates, and we cannot force them to come and work with us and come and try to get the votes from our constituents. You cannot force anyone, but we'll see. I think it's going to be fun. Every candidate that we will be working with, or you live in the district, obviously will be needing help. So get ready that we will be asking for volunteers, and that will be the time where if you ever look to getting involved, that is the time. And Rebecca actually just asked about the city races. So in November, we will have city council races. So we have 2 Republicans that are challenging Democrats, which is super exciting. I just cannot get over how exciting that's going to be to help those 2 specifically candidates. Remember, or you don't remember, I'll let you know, in 2019, under the just predecessor, city of Greenville went blue. Basically, they elected Democrats, and city of Greenville went blue. Now we have the opportunity to flip city of Greenville red again, and we will do everything to make that happen. So there is 2 candidates running against Democrats. One is Matt Alexander. That is the Greenville City Council at large seat, and he is running against a young Democrat named Tina Belch. And I have met Tina before. She was running for Senate in my district before as a Democrat. A sweet lady, but boy, she does not represent anything we believe in or would support. So it's very important that Matt Alexander wins that race. And then the second one, it's Mike Kilgore that is running against Lillian Fleming. If you Google the name, I don't know the details, but I believe Lillian has been in her seat for a long time. A century. 40-something years. And that's going to be a very interesting race because not going into much details. So again, there's not even a competition for the primary, right? Mike Kilgore is the only Republican that filed. And we have been told that many of Republican politicians have initially tried to discourage him from running to begin with. And after he put his foot down and still filed, he's been asked to drop out.
Why?
I think think about if you ever pay attention to city council in Greenville, even though we have Republicans on there, I don't think they vote as Republicans or how we would want them to vote. They all work together.
They're rhinos.
So when you think about it, if strong Republican comes in, he may, I don't know what he's going to do or not do, but he may mess up their little, clique that they have there currently. And I believe that's the reason they want to keep the Democrat on there because it works for them and what they believe in. So, and especially think about it, if we have even one person that actually voted the right way, he would make other Republicans look bad. Then they have to really reconsider the way they vote. For now, they just, it's hard to see the difference, right?
Yeah.
If we have a strong Republican on there,
How many are on city council?
I would have to think. I know the mayor is seven. Yeah, right. I could name them all, but
You got 5 districts and then you got 2 at large.
two at large, yeah, and the mayor.
He's the one.
Right. So again, that will be the November election, and we are excited. So we will definitely be asking you all to help, and we will start with the dripping campaign, basically to educate city voters that the election is happening. And think this is not Republican primary that you have to convince voter to vote for this Republican versus that. This is a general election when you have a Democrat that's been there for a century, and you have a Republican that will vote, your way. So I love races like that. It's such an easy sell. Yes.
Now, wasn't it the city council that raised our taxes the highest they've ever been raised? Ever in the history of
No, that's county.
Was that
I think they all,
County, we did it by raising property taxes, but the state Supreme Court made us rescind that rule, rescind that tax, so they got cut back on it. They cut back from some, but they didn't get rescind all of it. But we still ended up with a pretty substantial tax increase.
Yeah.
Like tax, not property tax,
But that's
almost up 3 times.
There you go.
They paid
and that actually brings us to,
usually.
I don't know where Frank went, but our legislative committee that Frank is leading, we do have different, I don't want to say levels, but basically the legislative committee, if you ever want to get involved, we have Joe Farmer who keeps track for us what's happening on the city council, because we have the city council, the county council, then we have the state, federal, because we need people everywhere to go and pay attention and take notes and report what's happening. I personally don't live in the city, and not that I don't care, but there's only so much I can pay attention to. But when we have people that are more interested in certain area, like Joe is the perfect example. He comes,
City too.
he is in the city, and he comes and basically reports what happens. If there's any call to action that we can, ask people to make calls, or GCRP to issue statement on a specific issue, we do that. But we need people in each of level of government to help us to keep track of what's happening, read the bills, pay attention to all these, resolutions or things they pass, or what's going on, because they will do things that
They do things in and nobody knows.
exactly.
They will pass a bill with the name of this, and they'll have so many things added into it that nobody knows about. In fact, right now, every one of us sitting in this room right now is probably breaking some kind of law or some kind of ordinance in some stupid law that has nothing to do with what we're doing.
It's,
That's how messed up our political system has gotten.
Yeah.
Also, are not, even at the state house or even in Congress, the laws are not written the way they're supposed to be written. They're supposed to be written in plain English
Yes,
for people with an 8th grade education to understand. That's the way the founders intended it.
yes.
And you got these lawyers and other people in these political issues that are putting so much convoluted legal jargon and stuff that where nobody can understand it.
Legal
Right.
Absolutely.
I just learned, and that's actually I learned from the news that the State House, and the only reason I'm talking about it because I saw a funny video that a friend sent me. Starting at the end of the year, South Carolina will have the no phone law, which is again great. We're all against driving and texting or whatever, but I personally sometimes hold my phone to use for a map, right?
Map,
Or
I know, I
whatever.
do too.
And I think by the end of the year, I don't know where the law comes in effect, but I know in a few months we will have in South Carolina policy you cannot hold your phone in your hand, like period. And again, whatever, it's not. But I was laughing. A friend sent me a video when all in the '80s there was a video of a man driving, right, and there were no cell phones, or we were not carrying cell phones, but we had this big case with CDs, right? And you're sitting there and you don't have a phone, but you have this big case of CDs and you're driving and going through your CDs because you want to find the right song.
Well, what about the older people who use tape?
Yeah,
Right.
the big fat tape.
So yeah, we may be
Tracks
putting,
it,
to me they're just more important things
For those,
to
and the
do.
CDs.
But even if we restrict, we've dealt with that. They were in cell phones before, and we still were getting distracted while driving
I know.
with things.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I had a good laugh at that video because growing up in communist Poland, it wasn't that long ago we were doing that.
Yeah.
And tapes, yes, I was still using tapes. In fact, when I moved here in 2001 to the United States, I brought tapes with me because I want to have my Polish music, and yeah, I had tapes. And luckily, the car that I received had a little tape player, so it was perfect. So just finish up with the meeting. The meeting on June 2nd will be at the downtown Hughes Library. We do have enough space, just so everyone know, we have all the 3 rooms combined. The capacity is over 500. So no, it will not be tight. We will not run out of space. The parking is free after 5 o'clock. Credentialing starts at 6. Meeting starts at 7. If you would like to come early, talk to people, meet people, it will be somewhat of a quick meeting. We will do elections only, so it may not be as exciting for some. We won't have a speaker, but we're taking care of what required by rules, elections. Yes, we have been working on different venues for our meetings. We have few things in the works that may be more exciting. However, we were not able to get answers and secure them prior to Monday meeting. And it's okay, let's elect people and we will get together for some more fun meeting later on. In fact, since Terry is not here, I'm going to throw it out there. We are planning a 4th of July cookout. 4th of July is Friday, 4th of July. We are planning on having a cookout that weekend before. We're deciding whether to do it. I was actually getting some feedback yesterday, Friday the 27th of June or Saturday the 28th. So we got some feedback that some people may be leaving town on Saturday already. Maybe Friday will be better. We will make that decision soon. It's going to be here in the backyard, and that will help us just have a fun, social, get to know members. Everyone will be invited, and we're doing that. What else? The meeting. I'm trying to look at the agenda. It's a draft agenda. If anyone would like to lead us, usually I reach out directly to people, but since you're here, I think we have someone already who's leading us in pledge at the meeting. I need someone to lead us in prayer and read the Republican Creed. If anyone is interested, let me know and I'll put you on the agenda. And I think that's it. We have on the draft agenda, the chairman will be talking about party communications. We are now on pretty much all social media platforms: Signal, Facebook, X, True Social, Instagram. If anyone here, I don't know, social media people. We really need them. I will try to engage our youngsters too, but they don't seem to be much on social media anyway. So we'll be going over that and getting people engaged. There's so much to do, and if you would like to help in any way, there is space for you. So, any questions about our upcoming meeting? Yes.
What's the location going to be?
It is the Hughes Main Library. The address is 25 Heritage Green Place.
It's free, right?
It's free, yes.
It's always free at the library.
When we rent the Hilton, I don't know the specific amount, but it's somewhere in $1,000 range for the same, maybe 30 to an hour, maybe an hour longer
It's
because we have
expensive.
more time there. But we are saving a lot of money by
Yes,
having the
we
meeting at the library, and we can achieve the same goal pretty much.
That's a good place. That's a,
Yeah,
that's a good.
I think so. I think so. Just so you know, the elections, the precinct EC is the person voting. If EC is not attending the meeting, president is the automatic proxy. If the EC designate a proxy, that proxy has the authority to vote over president. If you are new, if you need proxy form, we will email it out. Also, we will email out our credentialing chair's information. You can either let the credentialing chair know that you're designating a proxy. We're following that process, nothing new, but only ECs we get one vote per precinct for the elections, and the state EC have as well a vote.
Is that a state rule, Olga?
I'm pretty sure.
Let me say something. So we flipped a lot of precincts. I'm making name badges now. I have 3 sheets. More than 2/3 of our people took over new precincts.
Really?
Took over the precincts.
Wow.
We had 2 that were unorganized last year, and then we filled them up. Unfortunately, I guess, and hopefully it's the fractured people that left the other precincts. So we have 19 that are still on, that are not organized at this time. So that we're going to concentrate on reorganizing those precincts. But we got a lot of good people.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah.
I think we calculated that 95% of our ECs now, or our precincts, are represented by MAGA America First people.
Yeah.
So talk about opportunity to flip Greenville or elect good people with Greenville's help, even to statewide offices. This is it. This is our time in Greenville, and we will not let anyone stop us.
You're not going back then.
Yes, right.
I'll volunteer to offer the prayer, and Carrie's volunteering to recite the creed.
Done. Thank you very much. May I
Cha-ching.
borrow this pen? You guys are awesome. So Carrie for Creed,
Yes.
Creed, and ready for prayer. Done. That's
There
huge.
you go.
Perfect.
Get her done.
All right. Who wants to say something or any questions?
I'll say
Do you wanna
something.
join me here?
If anybody cares, but it's kind of big news. It's Spartanburg.
Yes,
And
we
it's
care.
Right hot off the press, because it hasn't been announced by the governor yet, but it seems our sheriff has resigned.
Sheriff has
Ooh.
resigned?
Yeehaw.
Oh my
I
goodness.
saw news this morning
Not
that
all
yesterday he
sheriff.
cleaned up his office.
Yeah. He took a leave of absence after it
No,
was.
Hobart.
Spartanburg. Spartanburg.
Okay.
Check right.
Check right.
Okay.
And took a leave of absence when the investigation was
Oh, okay.
announced. And there were investigations as far there, and these were all not even charges yet, just rumors. Drugs, there were some money issues. He hired his son to be an officer after he lost numerous jobs and been accused of other things. So Sheriff Rogers, who is incredibly popular in Spartanburg, took a leave of absence very suddenly and just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. And then the county council on, I believe, Wednesday night met in executive session, and somebody got wind of the fact they were going to ask for his resignation, or they were going to put some things in front of him.
I think they were trying to cut his pay, right?
Yeah, they were going to
Take
take
away.
away. They were going to say, "You've been out 7 weeks. We're not going to pay you anymore." And he promptly came back on Thursday. So on Wednesday, they considered it, and on Thursday he came back, and evidently he cleaned it out and resigned.
Yeah, that's what I saw pictures this morning just from certain news outlet, from Fitz News actually. They posted a picture of his truck that came with the job. That he cleaned out his office and left the truck in this odd location, like someone maybe was supposed to come and pick it up.
Yeah.
So that was. It's interesting because wasn't Chuck Wright the one we were like looking up to? Meaning when Hubbard got elected, he was being mentored by Chuck.
Right. Yeah.
So that just makes you scratch your head.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
does.
kind of.
And as far as
What's going on?
constitutional sheriffs, there's a real movement in Spartanburg to make sure that we have one, and he wasn't one. And so
Oh.
now we have David Britt, who's been on the county council. You know, I learned all this really fast because I live in Greer, this far from Greenville. I
That's
don't listen to
okay.
Greenville news,
You heard
but
it though.
yeah, I'm really in the know.
There you
People tell
go.
me stuff now. But David Britt, who our Brian Alverson ran against and lost. David Britt has been in his seat on county council for more than 30 years. He was just appointed to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. So he has resigned his office. So that's all good news because now that spot is open. And now we've got a sheriff spot open. And the new Republican Party is going, yeah. Yeah.
Jumping into
Pretty
this.
exciting. Pretty
Yeah, well,
I mean,
exciting.
how better to engage newcomers to the party to be like, we have special elections
We do.
and we will have a say,
Yeah,
like a
we
big
will
say.
have a say. So,
Amen.
Wow, great news. Well, I think great news. We'll take a seat. Do you know of any candidates that were already talking about potentially running if that happens, or there's no
there's
information?
talk.
There's some.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I know that Nick Duncan, who ran against Chuck Wright before, we contacted him during the reorg because, and I believe he's in EC now, or at least he was at reorg. We called him and made sure he was there. So we just, reorg took, obviously a lot of time for us because we needed to take over and win leadership and win precincts and find out a lot of things. But it's kind of amazing that we're, a month or so after reorg, now there's big opportunities. So now we have to figure out what that map looks like. How do we take advantage of this when we're young? And I just met with Greg, so I know the rules. 15 minutes with Greg, and you know the rules.
There you
No.
And GOP Plus will come really handy with all the
Yes.
voter data.
Yes, it will. Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. What else happening in Spartanburg?
Okay, well, I do have another thing, and I was hoping that maybe people would give me some input. We have camp meeting tomorrow, yet another new place, because we're growing, and sometimes when you're growing really fast and you go to a new place, which we had done, because we had 80 people at the Peach Blossom Diner. So they decided maybe they would just charge us $100 every time we show up. And they
Really?
thought, well, there's nothing else big enough for them it won't matter, they'll have to pay it. And we said no. And so we are moving to the Grapevine Restaurant in Boiling Springs, and it really doesn't take longer to get there. It's just all interstate, for me, from Greeley, and on 85, stay on it to get to Boiling Springs. But, so tomorrow will be our first meeting there, and right after that, I am driving to Lawrence County to meet the ladies from McCormick and Pickens and Lawrence and Anderson. And they just want to know what we did in Spartanburg to flip it. And they've got 2 years, and this is what we need to do.
Yes.
And Union is on the other side. And last week, we had 20 people go down to Union for their town hall. And this is what we need to do. It's for all of us who were at the state convention, we know that Pickens got shafted. It was totally, and I sat on the credentialing committee, and it was totally establishment versus those of us who aren't. And they didn't do anything wrong. They did what all the rest of us do
Yes.
as far as providing a venue for reorganization for convention. So
And in fact, we have tracked few counties. The argument, which we didn't agree with, the argument was that Pickens location for their convention was with capacity less than the number of eligible delegates for the convention. Well, in Greenville, we had less than 1,000 delegates attending, but our eligible slot of delegates was 2,300. I mean, our space would hold 2,300 because we rented the biggest space in Greenville, period. But if we had other options, we would not rent space for 2,300 if we knew that we had only 1,000 delegates, right? Pickens did the same thing. They had only 200 something
300 delegates, but only 200 some attended.
showed up. Their space was for 400, still plenty of room. But the state used argument because they had eligible spots to fill with delegates of 700 something, I believe.
Yeah.
They stopped people from maybe attending, which again, it was the number were already determined. They knew they did not need more than 400. But of course, after that was ruled and used against them, we did little investigating, and there were so many other counties that had the same issue, including Charleston. Their space, I don't know the specific numbers, but on the top of my head, I think their venue had 900 capacity, but their number of eligible delegates was 1,300. So why Charleston got away with it, but they used it against Pickens. Anyway, everything in that is still in the works, I think, and there's a state executive committee meeting, is it June 7th, and I don't know what's going to happen at that meeting, but it was just so unfortunate how they treated Pickens. And just so you know, as our great parliamentarian helped Spartanburg with stuff, Mr. Sheen.
Yes.
I spoke with him yesterday, and since you're going to other counties, he offered assistance with, and it's very interesting how I have had now, who was it? At least 3 people actually, in the last few days messaged me, or I had conversation in person with Ray. They're interested in asking how can they help other counties statewide. They know Greenville is in good shape, and now they are recognizing that other counties need help, and they're offering. And Ray just finished his PhD program. He was so busy. He still assisted Spartanburg and helped any way he could. And I was actually surprised in a good way. He told me yesterday, by the way, if you have counties that I can assist and tell them how to get organized, whether from just practical perspective, what we did, or from the rule perspective, whatever, just let me know and I will be working with them. So
And so it's important for me to tell these ladies, a couple of whom I know, some of whom I don't know, exactly. And since I was observing early here, not being able to participate since I am a Spartanburg resident, and knowing that for Greenville, and I hope I'm not misspeaking, but definitely for Spartanburg, the fact that we had Friday gatherings here is where I did my learning. And when we started camp meeting in Spartanburg with 6 or 7 people and grew to 80, that's when we took reorg.
Mhm.
That was the heart of reorg, because people who come and are that interested will go back and canvass. They'll go back and talk to somebody, and that's what needs to happen in these little counties.
Right.
We're the big counties, and I know we see the hardship in the big county. We have 112 precincts, and we had no data, so we didn't know how many ECs were already America First and how many weren't. And we needed to be a majority. We didn't know that we didn't know we were going to win until we went in there. We won 2-1.
Wow.
And we had no idea. We just didn't know that how many they already had. So I just, if any of you have suggestions for what I can say to these ladies, I know what we did during reorg and how important it is. But those counties are really small. I think McCormick has 4 delegates compared with Greenville at 90 and Spartanburg with 57. So I'm accustomed to the big county workup, but the little county, I imagine everybody knows what you're doing.
Right.
So, but I will say, Jeff Davis told us to do the right thing. A lot of people don't think so. Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Right.
They're looking in the windows to see how many people you got. Come on in and count them. That's what we said. We actually had, thank you, Greenville, for sending us somebody that we really, I better watch what I say, that we weren't really happy to get.
And we were so glad we were able to move that person out of Greenville. No, we didn't move them out. They decided to move. We were happy they moved.
But when those people come and sit in the restaurant and they're looking right in the door, right in the windows, we had a state rep, state senator actually, come sit in the lobby, and then there are the windows to the private room. And so I said, "Just sit down." "Yes, I do." "Just wave." And we waved. And so we didn't hide the numbers. So I'm surprised they were surprised, because we built the numbers, and I think that the establishment has a feeling they're so strong they can't be uprooted. And that did not work to their benefit.
Oops.
So just some things I want to tell these ladies: don't be afraid. Go in there and just do your job, and if they see you, that's fine.
When I know some people don't agree with this openness of your plan, that you should not be revealing your strategy or plan, but it worked for Greenville, it worked for Spartanburg now. Just think about it. It's about numbers, it's about recruiting. How are you supposed to recruit people if you're keeping it secret, right? It's just, and we have, some dear friends that don't agree with it, which is fine, but we will absolutely just be of the opinion that if you want to grow, you better be open about it, because that is how, Becky was posting pictures of her camp meeting on Facebook every week. And then we can comment, we can share, and then my friends from Spartanburg, I'm not saying I recruited any friends, but just giving an example, they're noticing, they're getting curious, and they go and check out the camp meeting. That's how you grow. If people don't know about your meeting or about what you're doing, you won't grow. And even if you're trying to keep it secret, there will be always someone that will be spying on you, and you may never know.
Yep.
So there will be someone who will try to sneak in the restaurant and pretend to be invisible and report on you. It will get out there
In
what you're doing.
Spartanburg, everybody's related. So they know that so-and-so's cousin that just came in. I said, really? Well, let's go over and welcome them. So, and we did. And so I've learned that, well, of course, Frank Tiller is our GOP chair. He's related to a lot of people, but he also knows whose cousins belong to the other side and the other side and it's different.
That's
I've
hilarious.
often said, you know, all my friends in Spartanburg have chickens. I call them up and it's different from Greenville.
The ladies,
It's so
the ladies.
fun. The what?
The ladies.
The ladies, yes. The ladies.
I'll text someone, how are the chickens? And the answer will be, the ladies are doing fine.
Yes.
Sweet. I want chickens, not
Yeah,
with my
I'm
generals.
learning new words like brooder and things like that. That's the one that likes to sit on the eggs. Okay, fine. So now you got a bunch of little chickens. Oh, well, it's very interesting. So I think that will play well when I go to some of these other rural counties and they have chickens too. So we'll
There you
see.
go.
And another thing I'm going to put out there, think about whether you guys going to be doing the sheriff special elections of the county council. We're going to be doing city. This is your best opportunity to already recruit for next reorg because we'll be knocking on houses, people that you may or may not have knocked before. Even if you have, remind them, oh, I know we've talked before or whatever, or always keep in mind when you door knock, you're not door knocking only for the candidate, you're door knocking for the movement, you're door knocking
Yes.
to share opportunities. And obviously you have to feel how the conversation is going, but talk about anything that may want to encourage someone to not only vote for candidate, which is number one, but then get involved. So
Right.
it's all opportunities everywhere you go. Yes, right.
Something came up at the meeting last night. When people go door knocking in that database that you have back there, could we have a line in there for what church the person goes to?
So that would be a question for Scott, maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna let Scott move
Because
on
it would
because
be-
he's got things to share.
One of the biggest problems we have is the silence from the pulpit. And we really need to get preachers, ministers, and priests to say the pro-life message, and as well as any other moral issue as well.
So we've introduced what is called tagging in the database. Now, I do want to say Austin Higgs is the developer of the front end of that, of GOP Plus. I'm the database administrator on the back end, and I do configure, I help configure his app, but I didn't write it. It's a collaboration between Jeff, myself, and Austin. So I want to say that first, so I don't look like I'm, all knowledgeable. There's an ethical dilemma we run into when we pull information like that, meaning that we have to make sure that the information when it goes in isn't like grabbing dirt on people. You know what I'm saying? It's always positive. And so Jeff turned off that tagging. We have it enabled. We turned it off because it was like, well, how do we make sure this isn't used improperly? Because the app is open. It's like, so all this information. So let's say someone gets into the app under false pretenses and then starts targeting people that are with a church. So it's really a dilemma where, to be able to find that information, I think it would be more of a separate list that you would gain as you're within your precincts. You would get to know your people, and then your chair, your president within a precinct would know the churches in the area and the people and all that. That would probably be the better fit for that. There are tools that we can use for walk lists to help. That GOP Plus can do that. There's other tools that we have at our disposal for that as well. But yeah, I don't think we'd want to pull that information in. I don't know. That's a discussion.
Yeah, that's the discussion.
Yeah, that's really
didn't
hard.
think
because-
about it.
Yeah, because it's
I'm
like
personally
I mean, I'm okay with it,
Yeah.
but it's more of a, it's more of a group thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, so we have to be careful what information we track on people, because we would never want that to be misused. And so,
Yeah. And
anyway,
I personally, yeah, I'm not the right person to
no,
ask.
you can.
And, you know, coming here from Catholic Poland where everyone is Catholic, and I had to get used to someone asking me what church I go to. Because number one, to me, my church, my relationship with the Lord is my personal, deep and intimate issue, private. Not that I don't mind sharing, but the first few times I was asked, I had to learn basically the process that here in the South, especially, it's important what church you go to, and you get
Well, we
judged
have a
by.
Huguenot area here too.
Huh?
I said, you're telling me.
Yeah.
But again, I don't mind, but I have my own opinion. But I understand Ray's point that has nothing to do with that. That has something to do with encouraging our church leaders to become involved, because church is politics, whether you like it or not.
Now, what we could do is not focus on the individual and go in and pull in all the churches into a database where we track information about the church, but not about an individual. Think of protected health information. It's not protected health, but you get the idea. There's just some level of ick when we're creating a burn list or you know what I'm saying? That's not what we want to do, but tracking churches and the pastors and contacts within the church, that is well within a really good idea. And I do think, like Birdsview, where I go, Pastor Tim Huckabee is fantastic at bringing up. I mean, he spares no, you know, he directly takes on issues that other pastors will shy away from.
And that's exactly what's going on. There are some churches that are pro-life and they're vocal about it, but by and large, the silence.
But they
is
still
deafening.
don't want to be involved. They're vocal maybe, and
So even,
anyway, they're not willing.
I mean, if they're
to
telling the
take a stand.
congregation, when I went back in March, when I went to the hearing for McCravy's bill, there was 3 ministers. One of them was wearing a Roman collar. It was a female, so I don't know which church. It could have been Anglican, Methodist, Lutheran. I know she's not Catholic because we don't have Catholic priests. Anyway, there was 3 ministers and a daughter of a rabbi who claimed that not only does the Bible support abortion, but it says women should have that right. Now, of course, they didn't provide any scripture, but that's beside the point. Why do pro-aborts have Bible experts saying it's biblical, testifying that it's biblical, when our own church leaders don't testify before their own congregations that it's wrong? That's my
Now, that's
$1
good
million
information
question.
to track. I mean, that is okay, but it's just the individual we want to.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we do track some information about the pastors involved and what we're experiencing from the church, but you all get the idea. You know, we want to be helpful and get everyone, offer a tool that people can do a walk list with, know who to contact and who the people are, so you don't roll up on a staunch Democrat. There's really no reason to have that conversation. You're going to get run off the property anyway.
Yeah.
But or to track those homes that they've told us never to come back. And we're like, we're good. You know, promise I'll never send anyone. And that's the difficulty with walk lists, is that we want to protect the people going out because they've gone out the first time and they've learned, and we want the next group to go out and have that information. So,
well, thank you very much. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Deanne had a question.
You're so right, Scott, and, you know, because we don't think that way, but we've got to think that way. If a church is like super pro-life and pastor or priest or rabbi or whatever is super pro-life, that church could get burned down. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, we actually, at Burnsview, I'm on the safety team, and there's a number of us that are armed. You wouldn't be able to tell. The only way to tell is we have we have we wear something that we can tell amongst each other, because sometimes we don't recognize each other, so we're on different teams.
Yeah.
But if we see that, we know that person with the gun is not, don't shoot that guy, he's not the problem, but it's because it's a pretty big safety team and whatnot. But yeah, we're all ready. I mean,
I think you should wear shoulder holsters and
I'm telling
expose
you.
them and let them be seen.
That's not.
They don't want to be
These
the
are, well,
target.
we are noticeable, but I don't want to say it in a recording because, someone say, hey, watch out
Well,
for
I'll
it.
say it.
Yeah. No, I'm saying,
If they
we know
see
each
it,
other.
they're intimidated by it.
They could, or
But-
they're becoming a
Well, at
target.
the same
Yeah,
time-
see, we try to stay incognito where we can notice an issue. And we have to remember, there can be threats from within the church too.
Yes.
It's not, and that's why we keep our head on a swivel in church. Like if everyone's praying, you'll see the safety team doesn't have their head down. They're just looking around, watching their six and everything. And it's just how it is. But yeah, people are people, whether they're in the church or outside of it. But yeah, let it be known, Burnsview is not the place. Yeah, seriously, I'll say it in the recording. Do not come to Burnsview if you have ill
For the wrong
intentions.
reasons, right?
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. All right, anyway. But
Any other questions? And if not about that, since Scott is here, I did tell people we went over the agenda
Yeah.
and who was running. And I did say that we have 2 candidates that we know of for now that are running for secretary. Angie is one. You probably all know Angie or not. She's been serving as our secretary. And like I said, we'll be sending information on both, but Scott is the other one, if you haven't met Scott.
and
know.
Angie and I are running a very clean campaign.
Right.
She's fantastic. I mean, I'm not. I love her to death. And I just have some different ideas. I don't know how much because I want to make sure she has the opportunity. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, she's welcome. We
yeah,
will,
so she's invited too. So secretary has typically been transcribing the minutes, and it's hard. It's a hard role, meaning that you've been in our meetings, and I mean, especially early on, talk about chaos. And I feel sorry for anyone taking notes on that. It's like, what's going on and all that. So, I mean, Angie, I'm telling you, she did a fantastic job. I want to expand the role a bit. And so my campaign is more the things we could do in addition to that. And it kind of steps on some different roles, but I think a secretary is the place to put this. What I want to do is when you're online, like if we're going to have meetings that are online, supposedly,
Sure.
We're going to have meetings that are in person, but whether you're online or in person, I want you to know when a motion is up, as I'm taking the note, I want you to be able to see it, okay, and see the text. I want you to be able to see what I'm writing, because that's important for the person that's at the podium. It's important to me. It's important to the chair. It's important to the parliamentarian, meaning that we all are a team, and all of us are a team. We're all working together, the body included. And if the body knows what I've just packed in, that's going to be part of the permanent record. And how I'm going to do that is going to be my secret sauce at the meeting, at the voting meeting.
Secret sauce.
But yeah, so I'm keeping that kind of close to my chest. But the idea, imagine that you could see not only the information that I just packed in, I just because it's going to be typed in, right? But you can also, as a body, point of information asking about it, so you see exactly what's going into the minutes. That said, in addition, I've already posted this, is that I want you to know the potential path of a motion, because I've sat in the meetings, and honestly, I'm there and I'm listening, and I can sometimes hardly understand with people like earlier on, people screaming and everything, and it's chaos. And Yvonne and Jeff has done a fantastic job of dialing it back. But in support of Jeff now, imagine that the whole body can see not only the motion from what
what the secretary has just put into the permanent record. It could be reversed, because it's as I'm entering in the info, I can make a change if I've done it wrong, but you can actually see it, and then you can see the potential path, because a motion, once it starts, there's a certain order of what can happen to that motion. And I think it would teach us all Robert's rules without everyone being an expert, meaning that what you can do at any point. Maybe that's partially a handout. Maybe it's literally right on a screen. There's some ideas out there, but I think we could, and the idea is that to reimagine some of these roles that we have, that's in, some of these roles, reimagine them, and also sell that, or rather share that, not sell, but share that with MAGA counties, or bring counties on to MAGA, because we've got an excellent process that can help you. By the way, you don't need a building, and you can grow like some of these smaller counties. They're not going to have what my SCGOP does for us here. They're not going to have that ability. They don't have the funds, but they can have Zoom or whatnot, and they can start gathering more and more people, where they can have as many people as we do involved, but it's an electronic based, meeting and voting and all that, because they don't have the funds for buildings and funds for big.
Or someone who is helping us out, like the owner of this building.
Yeah.
We cover the cost, taxes, insurance, all of that, but the owner is literally donating the rest, because they're not charging us anything other than what they have to pay. And they could probably sell this building for a good amount and not worry about it at all. So they're doing us a favor. So it's either funds or someone willing to help.
Yeah, and we're all helping. It's not just. And I think these roles are not just about you get the position and that's what I do. We can have assistance to the roles, because we've had some folks that have been overburdened by these roles, and it's just their whole existence during that term, and we don't need that. We can teach. My idea is to redefine the role and teach the next person to take it over. And that's what I'm thinking. It's also like the technology. Austin Higgs is, oh my God, brilliant. I mean, he's got some.
He's a big brain.
He's big brain. And
hard too.
And a lot of us have been involved with. I mean, like I said, it's not just the technology part. Look at this building. Look at everything. Look at the front, how it gets mowed, and you know what I'm saying. It's all of us.
That's Don Healy, one of our ECs too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like wherever you go, the cats get fed. People
That's
come in.
I
mean, it's just insane.
And to kind of add to what Scott just said, with sharing with others, whether we want it or not, Greenville is being looked up to. With this, right. Yeah. And that's how Becky and her team were able to, they did the work, no question, but they kind of started with watching what we did. And like I said before, our people are so wonderful, and that is what's called the true teamwork. Now we're kind of somewhat know what we're doing in Greenville. We always keep learning, but when you look at from outside, people think we know what we're doing. So let's keep it that way. But it's not like we stop here and we could just settle and enjoy Greenville. No, now we're looking to help others. That's what our parliamentarian came yesterday and said, let me know. I was afraid to ask him whether he would keep serving for us, because I knew he was going to, we had one ready there smiling, but the more the merrier. Ray, I knew he was so busy with school. I was like dreading asking him would he remain on the team, knowing that he's so busy. When he said he's staying, it was just exciting moment. And then he adds, by the way, if others need help, let me know, which is huge. Now Scott is trying to bring that because a lot of people need help.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, there's no, I mean, Angie's fantastic. So I've got no problem losing. I hope to win, but I would have no problem losing too.
We're not going to lack secretary skills.
Yeah, I mean, there's
whatever
just
happens.
it's a win-win. Whoever wins, it's really a win-win. So there's absolutely no.
We're excited.
issue at
People
all.
want to run.
And that's the other thing, encouraging others to run and rethink, like bring your ideas to these other roles. And sometimes even running for a position, people realize, oh, we could be doing that. We could be doing something else. So you're not just, well, the person won and now it's their problem. I think some of the best ideas come out of a campaign, a competitive campaign of friends, and then it's like win-win, honestly. There's not going to be.
Competition is great.
I'm sure that if you won, that Angie wanted to help you with.
Angie could do anything she wants to.
So,
I mean, yeah, there's no question about that.
And in fact, it was interesting. Before the splinters walk away, thank you, Jesus. We always had people trying to just criticize what are in different areas, in different roles, and that was always. I want to speak on Jeff's behalf. I can't remember everyone, but I know Jeff would always say, "Well, come and be the assistant. Do it, right? Do it."
Right.
They would never do it. They just want to talk and talk and talk.
Criticism, it's in and of itself is not necessarily bad.
Right.
Any good organization, I'll give you an example. Of course, my sons were all in the military. They have after-action reviews.
Yep.
Where they critically look at the mission, what went right, what did not go right, and how do we improve.
Yes.
Okay? That means everyone gets together and works, analyzing what happened, no egos,
Right.
and let's improve.
Solutions.
Yeah, it really is.
As we call it, see a need, feel a need, right? Type of.
Yeah, but more so when you see something wrong, have a solution.
Yes. Solution.
Yeah, bring a solution to the table, not a problem. Yeah.
It has to be more, I don't like what they're doing.
Right. How you
I
gonna
don't
fix
like
it?
that person.
Right.
It's not that. I want to make a suggestion as to another way to look at it. And that doesn't mean your suggestion is going to be employed.
That's exactly
So
it.
that's where egos have to be.
And this is a big problem, like where I work. And one of the things I had to overcome, because I ran a team of DBAs, software developers. I'm both that and data engineers. So I actually did all three roles. So I ran a team of them. And
He's green too.
and the funny thing is that it required more of a military sort of, we just need to get the work done. So I'm not saying I was a sergeant, but it required that. And I was the sort of second to my director. So anything, he would always back me on anything I said, and had to work with the business unit and all that, but it had to be fast. So I had to train people fast because we would lose them fast because it's a high pressure environment and all that. And then I move over to a business unit where I have to offer solutions. And oh yeah, that's a whole different. I was sent to training for that actually. We all go through the training. Anyone that gets hired into that business unit goes through the same training I got because they all have the same sort of aspect or the same sort of behaviors when they come in. But yeah, you offer it and someone picks it up, right? If not, you wait until they see the problem, then you offer it again. The problem's still there. It's just that they didn't. But yeah, it's and again, you have to remember we're all volunteers, so you can't really tell a person to do something. You can offer it and say, hey, and
don't get now scared to the point that you cannot ever say anything unless you provide the whole essay with your solutions. It's just it's more to people that have a tendency of criticizing without really contributing. That's what we're trying to say. And the feedback is always welcome. Yes, Tony.
How's our project doing?
it's doing. I'm a little behind, but we cannot talk about it. But Tony and I are working on something.
Secrets.
Secret. Well, it's Tony's idea that I'm trying to implement. If it will happen, you all will be blown away.
Okay, so I want to, this is not, we'll set aside, so, I'll set aside the running part. Well, I'll say this and then I'll talk about something else. So watch for my posts up until the election, because what I'm doing is I have a drip campaign out there for ideas. And it's something you can pick up right now and just start doing. It's not something you have to wait on. And now I'm gonna cut that off. Right now, what you can do this right now if you wanted to on your phone. There's an AI called Claude AI. So Claude.ai. If you were to log in on the web, you could go there and you have to put in your email, and it'll send you an email, and then you respond to the email and it'll log you in. And this is really interesting, and I don't see Frank's over there yet. So this would really be helpful to the legislation committee if you're interested. I just did this. I downloaded a Word document of some legislation. I didn't know anything about it, and I just knew that it was new. Downloaded it, put it in a Word document, and I uploaded it to Claude and told Claude, summarize this for me. And it came out with a readable, something that I don't have to go through all the whereas and where to and all that. I'm like, look, I'm not a lawyer, and I can read it. It is readable in its current form. But imagine the summary that takes out all that fluff and just says in plain English what it is, and something we can all benefit from. I mean, right now.
Yeah, especially when it comes to bill reading. It's hard to keep up. And if you have a tool,
hard to read.
And it's free, by the way. Claude is the free version will do this. Now, I've taken Claude and some other tools and actually built running software with it. More back-end things for databases and whatnot, but because I'm into some crazy, I'll talk about it later, but I do analytics and stuff like that with data, so.
Just spell Claude out, please.
Yeah.
CLAUDE.ai. Yeah, and Anthropic is known for being more ethical. Grok is funny. Actually, Grok will insult you. If you keep asking the same question over and over, say, I've already answered this 3 times. It's really funny.
Do they say, I can explain it to you, I cannot understand it for you?
Well, it won't go that far, but it's funny. It's caught me where I asked the same thing and I was trying to get a different answer. So when you're working with AI, it's like a conversation. Like we're having a conversation. I say something, you go, I don't understand that. Can you re-explain it? Well, a chat with an AI is just like that, and it's not smart. It just is. It's easier than using Google or any other tools because you don't have to spell everything out and then search. This actually it searches for you, but you put some information. You go, well, I'd really like this, or I'd like more information on that, or start over. You just say it in plain English what you want to do, and it'll do it. It's not always accurate. You have to read it and agree with it. But I built a data warehouse using Claude. So if you look up what a data warehouse is, I've actually built it soup to nuts, the whole thing. And now it didn't run automatically. I had to fix the code because it doesn't do it perfectly. But imagine doing that. I mean, and it freaks out some of my coworkers because I told them. What took them a year took me 3 days.
See?
So,
talk about brains.
Yeah. But,
with the Grok funny story, I am just still learning and I'm not in the habit of using it. Jeff is becoming more of trying to figure out how it will work. So we were driving from his doctor's one day, so from Charleston, when he got these, I think it was after certain tests and all, and he started plugging in the doctor's notes into Grok. It was interesting. So depending what you want to see, if you want to like get this truth I don't want to say honest, whatever opinion that you
Yeah.
may not be ready to hear, put it in
Oh,
grok.
yeah.
But that being said, you have to, be ready. It was good to read in a plain language. That was very
that's the
helpful.
idea. Yeah.
Then when they were translating the doctors like prognosis and all, that became a little tricky to hear.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was still very easier for us to read and to interpret the results, the findings, or lack
So-
of.
How to learn about AI, and I really don't want you all to freak out about it because it's really not smart. It's just code that searches, like Google goes out and scrapes all this information. AI is just really on top of that database that Google has created or other people have. It pulls that information in and then it searches for you in a better way. To learn AI, which I could do probably some classes on it just at some point. It's called prompt engineering, like a command prompt when you type in. It's called prompt engineering. If you want to pull a book up on that, that's what I did to learn it. I bought a PDF or I have one of these Kindles. I bought a book on Kindle. It was like $5 or something, and I learned that you have to tell the AI who you are. Don't freak out. It's not your name and address or anything. It's just like I'm a T-SQL software developer. I'm a .NET software developer. I'm a data engineer. I'm all these hats that I've worn. I had to put all those in, and then I asked it to act as my mentor, and then all the questions are geared towards that. Even though I can ask a different question, and then you start a new chat with a new topic, and you can. And what I love this feature, I can tell. I use Grok primarily. That's Elon's app, Elon's tool. I've told it to never. What was there's something that it would bring up that would really make me mad. I can't remember. And it would just irritate me. I can't remember what it was, but I told it never give me those results again. And it won't. It will not tell me. It will not bring that up again. It probably was related to abortion or something like that. Honestly, it was something like that. And I was like, I don't want to ever hear it. I already know abortion's wrong. I just don't want to, because I was using it for some. I'll tell you why. At Burnsview, I do the slides, and so Sunday morning when the church comes in, they'll see my slides playing of everything going on, like the 5K run for pro-life, stuff like that. And so I create all the slides, and they have to slide in, and all the motion and everything. It's really complex. So when I go out, I use Grok to help me get ideas on the slides. So I'll take the pastor's sermon, I'll put it into Grok and say, if you have any ideas on where to look, and it'll give me ideas where to look for images or whatnot. And that's where I had to cut it off on some things that were just wrong. I didn't want to read anymore. And that helped me filter out. So yeah, now I can filter out Joe Biden if I want to, I mean, anything. You don't have to see those results. If they disgust you, you don't have to see them.
So I just got an online little comment about what we're talking about, church and
Yes.
tagging.
Yeah.
Sam Cheney commented and said maybe we could have a committee that would be specifically for dealing with the pastors of the county churches in lieu of tracking individuals. So that's another idea, to have a almost subcommittee or committee.
If you'd like to join the pro-life committee and do that for me, I'd love to have it.
You see, there's it. Sam brings up a solution. Now we're going to put him in charge of it. So, but it's a good idea.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Exactly. So Sam, if you're watching, you're in charge now. Yes, Tommy.
I started to do that, and I still have the data. You wouldn't believe how many churches there are in Greenville.
I'm sure I can.
I think I had 3 or 4 pages of just Baptist churches.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Every corner.
Lots of Presbyterians.
So
That-
I
Lots of Presbyterians.
So I started it because David had an idea about kind of doing that, and then it kind of got put on the side burner. Plus, I didn't want to do it twice. I want to be able to, thought we were going to use it on the database, and I wanted to put it in instead of.
No, I mean, the thing is, we're gonna have to download and fill that because the individuals are our voters, right? That's the voter data that I crowdsourced, you all purchased. And so that's not gonna necessarily be churches. We have to find them. So, but we can do that. There's a lot of opportunity.
A lot of opportunities. So, any questions?
And also Frank's back, so if you had something you wanted Frank to.
You want to
talk
share
about.
something, Frank?
Come on, Frank, have my chair.
Come up here to the hot
No,
seat.
nothing today.
All right.
He doesn't. Ray, did you want to share something?
Yes, please.
Ray had a first Right to Life committee yesterday. I could not be here, so I don't know what happened there, but Ray got thumbs up from Jeannie, and that means a lot.
Yes, it does.
Sounds like it was a good meeting.
Yeah, I had a 4-page long agenda. We actually got through it in 2 hours.
Wow.
Had 12 people in attendance. Physically, had 6 people on the internet.
Wow.
That does include a special guest and a friend of a member who showed up. Let's see. Some of the things I talked about. The House of Representatives is no longer in session. Here's a list of the vote for sine die, and the highlighted names are the ones that belong to Greenville County. And we actually did pretty good. It was roughly 50-50 between those who wanted to stay in session because we don't have the anti-abortion laws being pushed like they promised was going to get pushed. So we Greenville County did pretty good. It was roughly 50-50. It was generally about 20%.
So is the yellow the yes or no?
No, the yellow is Greenville
Green.
County.
So
Yeah.
yeses are up there, no's
I
are
see,
Yeah,
okay.
so
at the bottom.
these are the people who wanted to stay in session, and these are the people
Oh,
who
okay.
didn't.
Those will be
And
brown.
This
Okay.
will be available. This list will be
All right,
available
thank you.
next year. I also been working on who left the family caucus. If anyone can interpret doctor's writing, they're welcome to help me.
Oh, my goodness.
I've been able to identify these people circled,
Whoa.
but there's still probably about 12 names I'm trying to decipher, and I don't have any doctors on hand to help me. Let's see what else. The Take It Down Act was passed 4 days ago. That criminalizes non-consensual intimate imagery, and if imagery is being identified, the platform has 48 hours to get it down, and the FTC is the organization that's responsible for it. Let's see. Talked about some upcoming events. I'm not going to go through all of them, but on June 9th, I'm going to give a talk on abortion law and all 3 bills, all 3 of the anti-abortion bills that are in the state legislature right now. That's going to be on June 9th. It's going to be at Denny's, 6:30.
Can I break you for a second?
Sure.
Can we stop calling it anti-abortion? Stop calling it pro-life.
Well, the problem is there's a lot of bills that technically are pro-life because they allow the husband extra time at home to spend with the wife, cut taxes on when we buy diapers. I don't like saying just pro-life because now we got a bunch of legislators. Oh yeah, I did pro-life stuff. Yeah, you eliminated the sales tax on diapers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I see. All right.
So, and I agree. I agree with you. I'd love to be able to say that, but unfortunately, politics has made it to where it's not. I'm speaking nonsense if that's what I say. So anyway, July, we're looking to do Have a Baby show. I'm going to see if we can get Have a Baby movie being shown. Basically, it's a game show in Vegas where this IVF facility lets one couple get one chance to get pregnant. I think it would be very good for people to see just what a money-making game IVF really has become. Let's see, in August, I know someone who's very big into adoption. He's actually given talks. He and his wife they have several adopted kids, and they've given talks actually in several states. So
Are they from here or
and
somewhere
he
else?
goes to my church.
Got
That's where I met him. But he's actually given talks. He's actually talked before our church. He's talked in several different states and many places within this state about adoption. So he said he would do it. August is what the committee voted for him. So I'm going to work to get him to come up in August. And in September, we're looking to get somebody from Missouri, maybe on a Zoom meeting, question and answer. Missouri actually has no abortions, so we wanted to get in touch with one of the legislators in Missouri to help us, help give some inspiration and guidance on how we can have the same thing here. And that pretty much covers what I would have to share. With you.
Yeah, that's great. Any questions? This sounds like the pro-life or right to life committee is up and running to a great start. 20 people, you said 12 and 6? No, 8.
They had 18 people,
8 total.
12 here physically and 6 on Zoom.
That's a great attendance for first meeting and a lot of events scheduled and planned. So you all make sure you join the Right to Life Committee. We'll be publishing, I'll get info on all these events from Ray to put on the website. So remember, greenvillegop.com events, that's where all our events are listed other than social media. So put it on your calendar and join the committee or just events whenever you can. Thank you, Ray.
All right, thank you.
Good job, Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, who else? Who would like to say something or share or talk about your Memorial Day plans? Is it Memorial Day? Yes, I get it. Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I just would like to ask a question, and I don't know what the reason is, but it seems that we have heard about this, how the state of Florida can deputize everybody in the state to arrest people, and how there's been talk about, well, why can't we get our governor to do the same thing in South Carolina? I understand that. My question, though, is broader than that. It is, why do we have to wait for the governor to take action if our sheriff is a constitutional sheriff and has authority to act? Why can't we go to our sheriff and say, Sheriff, why don't you arrest people who are illegally present in our country? Why do we have to wait for another state to ask their sheriffs to act? Why can't it just be every sheriff can do it? I don't know. I don't know what the law is. I don't know what the rules are. It seems like we should be able to do that.
Who has an idea or want to share? Oh, I have my thoughts, but I'll let others speak.
My understanding, he's scared.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good understanding.
Played out scared. He doesn't want trouble here, and he's not going to cause trouble because he doesn't want protesters coming in, or maybe even, and as far as scared goes, I don't know, maybe even bodily harm himself. I don't know, but he's scared to do anything about it. As a person who's been on the sidewalk in front of the abortion clinic, I've actually gotten that from, I'm not going to say who it was, but I got it from a good source, that he's actually scared to do anything about all the mischief that was going on at the clinic.
Well, let me ask you something. Would it not be good if he was scared not to do something about it?
Yeah.
That's what the primaries are for.
I like to bring something up too. So I helped upload all the content for the pro-life website. Just helping. I didn't have the nerve to go down there because at the time my personality wouldn't mix with someone jabbing me. I'd end up in jail. I mean, really, because someone jabs me. It's just I have so much respect. I'm part of the committee, but I'm sort of on a supportive side.
where, if something technical comes up. But I was working with, this was a year and a half ago or something, and I uploaded all the content, the video, and I had to look at it, I had to view it, and the absolute disgust. There is no question that the pro-abort should have been arrested.
Yeah.
And Sheriff Lewis just did nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that's why I don't want him as sheriff, because he's looking at, if you look at and put in an area where people could stand, the pro-aborts put, meat with condoms, with this just nastiness up there, and poured oil and all this on land that's not theirs, so no one could stand there and hold signs and whatnot. But sorry, go ahead.
Could we just even if it's only briefly, put lifeongroveroad.com?
Yeah.
Just the front page. Don't we
We
don't have to worry about the links.
I'm not sure whether we can. We're
Let's
not
speak back to
connected.
that while you're looking that up. So legislative committee, when I was a member of it, we did pose that question to Hobart. And he basically, back then, said, which turns out to be untrue, that he didn't have the authority.
He absolutely has the
He said
authority.
that a lot.
He has the authority
About
only the county,
A
but
couple
the
years
cities.
ago,
Right.
the administration before DeSantis, because he said, well, we can't do anything unless they actually do something wrong. Until they,
Well, aren't they here?
Well,
That's- They have to actually break county law. That was his excuse. He said, well, you can't go up and blow them over just because we think you're illegal. So at that point, said he didn't have the authority. I'm just reiterating,
Yeah.
he does not want to do it. Like you said, he's afraid to do it because he's gonna ruffle feathers.
How many people?
So the way to do it is what August says, we've got to get good candidates in good positions.
Exactly.
Right.
That's where it comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we primaried him, and our group was here, and was unfortunate, Hobart pulled out the stops and got himself reelected. So that goes back to where we've got to get good, right-thinking people running for offices.
Exactly.
We gotta get.
Has anyone here, has anyone been to the abortion clinic or have experienced Kwani? Or I'll play one little clip that I recorded myself the one time that she was there where I was there. And it's, again, I did it with my phone. It's an old clip. So I don't know the words that's gonna come out of this TV. So I literally don't remember. So I apologize if it's going to be bad. I don't remember
I guarantee it's going to be bad.
what she said, but this was basically us, and I can see that's Dylan and Nikki Peters. We had a prayer meeting. So we were there to pray, and we were across the street from the abortion clinic. So we were not by the gate where Kwani wants to stand and block us from talking to people that going into the clinic. Again, we're minding our own business, right? This is not to interact with Kwani. And I am the last person to be interacting with her. So I'm there to pray, to sing, and then I pull up my phone to record her because I wanted to
I saw some of that.
record this. So this is
That's demonic.
her.
We know that.
Steve, there's so many pictures and it's just about saving the babies and spreading the gospel. You fucking hypocrites. You fucking liars. Pharisees, hypocrites, liars, all of you. Every single one of you. Pharisees, hypocrites, and liars. Thank the Lord for keeping Greenville Women's Clinic open. And abortion oasis here in Greenville, South Carolina.
So imagine yourself,
Imagine neighbors around there having to hear her.
I don't know whether I can.
What's that?
There aren't any neighbors there.
Oh,
But if she puts that thing in your ear,
yeah.
that's a
Right.
That's
And
assault.
Yeah.
We have a video of 5 of those surrounding a woman
Yeah.
with bullhorns.
That's
It's
assault.
on lifeongroveroad.com.
That is dangerous for hearing.
I mean, it's on video, there's no
Yeah,
question.
the
this was
website
going
is
on.
hard to look at.
It is.
It's really, you really have to, after viewing it, go do something that will cheer you up.
so yeah, that is from the website right there. This is
I think
Kwani.
that's all you really need to see is right that. Is
Yeah.
there, that right
Yeah.
there.
So
That was for her.
And she hasn't been out
Before-
in a couple months because
Okay.
finally, that took 5 years.
yes.
Actually, 7
Okay.
years. Took 2
So
years before
don't-
they even started coming
Yeah.
out. Then it took 5 years of problems before they did anything.
So if you know it's hard for you to be tolerating these screams in your ear, don't go because it's hard.
Well.
And the last thing, if you react and if you react and even trying to protect yourself, you will get in trouble because we have seen our people getting arrested just because they would, react to it. So it's really sad.
Thank you very much.
And I don't know what human. I actually recently, it's been a few months, I stopped at Ollie's, the store just down the street, and she was there actually. And anyway, she doesn't know who I am, but I just kind of was looking at her. She was buying like camping supplies, I think, and I'm thinking, who are you? Like, are you really a human?
She doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Or she wouldn't be doing that.
That, and I'm told she has kids and husband and all of that. I don't know how people live their lives, but it's okay. I think help the Life Committee and Carrie and all, they've been very persistent at exposing her, and we have shown up to court hearings before, and I think finally maybe we're getting somewhere. Just knowing that she's not at least coming out and showing up.
So she's not allowed to be on the street there anymore.
Well,
is she?
we're not exactly sure what's going on because the court system isn't giving us the paperwork we should be getting, but
Has
she
she
did
been
go,
out there?
well, for a while she wasn't out there because she finally got a trial hearing and she got slapped on the wrist, a few $100s worth of fines. And she was told she can't go out there unless the clinic approves her, which of course that's that's a foregone conclusion. But apparently it took a month and a half or so before she got the paperwork, but we haven't got the paperwork, so she might have been out there illegally anyway. But she showed up for a few times. She got in a tussle with the guy. Someone was on a scaffold and she's trying to move the scaffold with somebody up there, and another one was trying to hold it, and she grabbed where his hand was, and apparently her fingernail cut him. And so we were able to call the cops on that. I went to the bond hearing that night and finally had a judge that wasn't putting up with anything. She was the only one who had a bond under $4,000 that was not allowed to go home that night. She had to pay her bond before she was allowed to go home. Out of like 30 hearings I've heard at the bond, she was the only one that had, actually, I think it was under $4,000. I mean, she was going up against guys there were people there that were there for drug possession, assault, illegal weapon use, and the judge treated them nicer than they did her. So I'm hoping the judicial system is finally getting tired of hearing her name. She hasn't been out there since that bond hearing. She was told she can't go out. By that judge, she was told she can't go out until her trial date. But we haven't been able to find any information if she's had another trial date or if the court system is just delaying, which I'm perfectly happy with it.
When I went to one bond hearing, I don't know, is it the same one or not? I don't remember.
It was about a month and a half ago, I think.
Maybe. So we went there, and there were a lot of people going through, being heard on different issues and arrest and all. What I noticed from that hearing, the judge, I don't remember the bond part when she had to pay, but I remember the judge talking to her and saying, "Do you understand, ma'am? You cannot show up at the abortion clinic nowhere near or whatever. He didn't give her a distance. He just said, I don't want to see you at the abortion clinic. Her response, it was so funny. Her response was so innocent, replying and saying, yes, Your Honor, I will not be, and I'm looking at the address of the abortion clinic because that's what she was saying. She's like, yes, Your Honor, I will not go to 1142 Grove Road. And in my head, I'm like, okay, but you're gonna come see us across the street, because across the street where we were, where she was doing this yelling and screaming in my ear, was the Piedmont Center address. It's not 1142. I think it was on purpose because she kept repeating, yes, Your Honor, I promise I will not be at the 1142 Grove Road. And I can already imagine in her head, but I'll be across the street. And I'm not telling you I won't be there. Anyway, that was what I noticed from that whole hearing, going around what the judge or what the order was saying, which obviously I wouldn't put up with. But
She's the primary instigator. There's still some pro-aborts out there, but they're a lot more, generally they're a lot more calm and tame. I mean, it's still, you'll still see ugly things, but they're not getting in your face like they were.
Right. It's easier. Okay.
So,
One more.
I'd just like to go back to the immigration issue now that we're done, I think, with that conversation. Is there anybody who would be interested in advocating for enforcement of immigration laws? Because I think we could ask that the immigration laws be enforced if the sheriff has the authority to do so. I'm just wondering, is anybody advocating for it?
I think people would be interested if they were told what to do. If, like with everything, I think if you would like to come up with a plan or what do we do or where we go.
I'd like to talk about that with
Yeah.
people who are interested in talking.
Sure.
I don't
So
have-
again, next Coffee and Politics, or when we do the social, or we can call for another meeting. You let me know what you want to do and we will put it out there. I don't think there will be lack of interest. It's always, you
You're
know,
more than welcome to join the legislative committee.
there you go.
Yeah,
As a topic. That would be if you want to cover that. I don't want to use the term, but subcommittee, that, we have other things. If you want to join the subcommittee, I mean, the legislative committee.
There's the
And
legis-
I want to know, I just made it, we're gonna have a meeting on June 12th at 7:00. I just reserved the room. So to be here and on Zoom.
So what about, so I spun down the election integrity committee before the,
Are you gonna have your committee?
well, no, I did,
June.
because
You'll see Frank.
Because no. But right now, shoot, you can't hear me unless I'm here. The reason I did that is that it was more technical focused back then, where we had to collect the data and make sure, there was no, well, actually, there's still issues I'm going through. I'm looking at the data and, oh, this is interesting. It's going to Timmins. Once I finish this analysis, it'll go to Cali. And get to Timmins on Doge, but it's also going to Laura Sharp. So I'm just going to go two directions. I've got to contact Callie's going to email me. She already has my contact info, or already had it. But so there is an issue with voter registrations where it was going up and down, and this is the state saying that voter registration would increase and decrease for all these different precincts. And we had captured that data. Gentleman, Kevin Black, I can't remember where he's from, but he and I worked together where he was scraping the data and I supplied the database, and I created a data mart on that. Anyway, the data mart has to change, and I'll just use Grok to rewrite it. But anyway, that analysis, once that's completed, but that's really the last piece of it, to hand that to Doge, and hopefully they can take it, do something with it. I mean, we're talking the real Doge, not the South Carolina thing. So, but right now, the real issue, sorry to interrupt, the real issue is that it's now a legislative issue for, I mean, we need to go after it with legislation. It's not, we don't have, Trump got reelected. There's not a whole lot of elections happening right now that we could look at And now we got to attack it a different way. I think it's attacked by gaining membership, spreading the information, and not to put this on you, because I'll probably join you on some of the meetings, but under the legislative committee, really that's election integrity is rolled up under there. And the cool thing is some of the advances in how we can look at the legislation that's out there will help us summarize that legislation really, really fast. You know how if you saw Mark Willis talk about, this HR bill that's 3192 or something like that. That's because there's nearly 4,000 bills out there, and there's no way we can keep track of all that, but AI can, and we can throw all those documents into Claude or Grok or whatever, have it summarize it, and so we can have summaries of all that legislation or anything. Doesn't matter what it is. But that's the problem is if someone has to go through and read all those, holy smokes.
I got on the, I can't remember the representative's name, state representative's name, but I got on his email list, bad bill email list, that representative puts that out.
Nice.
And it's kind of overwhelming. I mean, he'll have like 40 things on there, they're either bad or not so good, and maybe good, and whatever. And, in his opinion, and, and I first thought, well, this is kind of cool, I can see what he thinks are bad bills. But it's like overwhelming. I mean, you can't read all that crap.
So,
but if you can summarize it and go through with Claude.ai.
So 2 points, and we're now running out of time, but I know that Jeff and Frank, they had a great discussion with additional member that I believe will be working on scorecards for us.
Yes, we had this meeting, we're gonna try to generate a scorecard on our legislators and what they vote on these bills. We want to find out what bills that they're working on and whether we support them or don't support them, and there will be a scorecard coming out on our legislators.
Which is cute.
This is just in its infancy. We have an idea what we're going to do. We're going to create scorecard for these.
Frank, have you thought about the strike and replace problem? Because Mark Willis mentioned that, where they'll take a bill that's for one thing, they'll strike and replace, and it's something entirely different. And so we know it as HR or whatever.
That'll be part of the
Yeah,
for
they
this
need
committee,
to watch.
the legislative committee, we have people like your topic about Hobart and immigration. I want people to come to the legislative committee and take these on, and then we'll focus. That would be your focus. You don't care about any of the other legislation, or you don't care, but you want Hobart list. So we have about 10 items that we want to focus on. We're trying to get this in and have somebody run with each of these focus. Tort reform, legislative law changes, school choice, just taking school choice. So he will follow those bills and things like that.
Because the strike and replace is basically a matter of following what happens with the
That
bill.
would be on the person who,
Yeah.
and then you feed that back to our scorecard person. Say, hey, they've done this.
So imagine.
How's that going to be different? I mean, because these legislators have already scored. I mean, one of the greatest moments at South Carolina Convention was the legislator they gave Legislator of the Year award to.
No,
And
that-
then when
there's
came up for
scorecards
chairman,
all out there.
he
All
came up and the first thing he said was, "You gave the Legislator of the Year, guys got a 33% rating by."
Right.
Yeah, right. But no.
That was
No.
fantastic.
This is our scorecard. This
Okay.
is the Greenville County Republican. We will have those other scorecards boiled in. We're going to look at our legislators.
Yeah.
We're going to score them.
I think that is really great to have a scorecard and have a legislation committee and be pursuing legislation. And for goodness sake, I'm a lawyer. I've been interested in legal issues. But to me, I think our problem is not one of legislation. I think most people know what's not legal. I think what the problem is advocacy, not legislation.
Right, but legislative
We're
advocacy comes
advocating
with
for this legislation.
knowing. Right.
Yes.
So
from our
if we don't
legislators.
have legislative committee that watches the bills for us, we don't know what to advocate for. I don't have.
Sheriffs.
Well, the sheriffs don't pass legislation. We need, so what I've learned from school choice battle, there is some of success of passing good bills, the huge success is in stopping the bad bills. And unfortunately, if we're not successful in passing good bills, we at least have to stop the bad bills. Then there's the candidates, right, of having elect good candidates or having recruit good candidates that can be elected to be good legislators to pass the good bills or to stop. It's all convoluted and all mixed up and all, I think, intentionally
On purpose.
being done on purpose. So we get all running around not
Confused.
knowing what we're doing.
We get
So that's
confused,
why the different
frustrated,
committee, as much as all of it overlaps, we need to be strategic on what we do. So Frank is doing legislative scorecard. We need someone, I mean, I am all for working or contacting or trying to get answers from the sheriff why the immigration laws are not being enforced. All
And that-
for it.
And that could be put on the scorecard so people see that. We even talked about scoring people and their actions, like, is he doing stuff? We put in so many complaints about this.
Yeah.
And nothing's happened.
That would be good.
So when
That's-
elections happen,
That would be part of it. That can be integrated into the scorecard.
we may not be going against a Republican candidate for sheriff, but we will be educating voters on what
His
he
current
did or
attitude.
did not do.
Is he, just like legislator, is he actually primary?
Yes, for the first.
Is he acting like in accordance with he calls himself a Republican, is he living up to the platform and applying some of that?
I mean, he didn't just say that he didn't have authority. Well, the reason he said he didn't have authority, if I remember right, was that they came with papers. They came with either a work order or something from, the Biden crap.
Right.
And so he could not, when they dropped him off, there's nothing he could do.
Right.
That was his excuse. There's nothing he could do unless they committed a crime or something. There was nothing he could do.
Which we don't
So-
necessarily know or believe that's true.
But that's what I remember.
Right, yeah. Before we run out, I should have mentioned it sooner. Some people have, we will be sending email. There is a school candidate training. This one, it's Spartanburg next Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll send out information. This one technically is for school board candidates, but if you ever think you may run for office or know someone or just want to learn, any type of candidates can attend and you can learn how to, what do you need to know if you're ever interested in running for office. It will be next Saturday, May 31st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Spartanburg Community College in Spartanburg.
Where?
Spartanburg Community College, downtown campus.
That'll be online.
Yes, I'll put everything online. I know this is like the last piece of information for me to put it out there. I have a whole flyer with the QR code to register and all. I will send it out this week. The conversation can continue here if we want to run more ideas, but I'm going to close up the meeting for the online people. So thank you for joining, and next week, hopefully Jeff will be here, so I don't have to do this. Not that I mind.
Thank you, Olga.
I just
Good job.
like when I can just drink coffee on the side and listen, and someone else can talk. But thank you all for chiming in and participating. That's always helpful when we have a lively audience. It helps. But see you all.
I make a motion to return.
There you go. We're
I
adjourned.
second.
Goodbye, everyone.